It's not every day that you get to interview a member of the Women's World Cup Championship team, but thanks to the power of networking, I have a really special interview for you today. Jessica McDonald has had an incredible career as a professional soccer player, most recently as a member of the North Carolina Courage and a member of the 2019 U.S. women's team, the one that recently took home the title of 2019 World Cup champions. She has some incredible insights to share about her role as a badass mom, as she puts it, her winning mindset, and the pre-game ritual that she indulges in before every game that she told me she's never actually shared in public before. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation, so let's dive in. Welcome to the Powerhouse Women podcast. I have a really special treat today, and it was a good excuse to make a connection that was really long overdue. So Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pumped for this right now. So thank you.
I am equally pumped. And we connected, I would have to go back and look. I want to say it was over a year ago, maybe even close to 2. We have a mutual friend in Phoenix who is one of the best connectors of anyone I've ever met.
Yeah.
We should probably have him on the podcast at some point.
Absolutely, yes.
So I just remember sharing a little bit about the vision behind Powerhouse Women with Zach, our mutual friend, and he said, "You've got to connect with Jessica." And we became social media friends, and in my world that means real friends. But I've just continued to watch your journey, and we've just shared a couple messages back and forth. But I really started to have this fangirl moment I was sharing with you as I watched all of this incredible news of what was happening with the Women's World Cup team, and then realized there was a familiar face on the team and that I had a connection to someone who was just making history in so many ways. So my first question for you is, reading your bio, obviously you have on there that you are the 2019 World Cup champion. What was it like just even writing that in a bio?
Oh my gosh. It was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, should I change that in all my bios on social media now?
Absolutely, you should.
Is this that next step right now? So I'm not gonna lie, I felt really jittery when I put that because I was like, it's very necessary because obviously that's why I'm here. And so obviously it's just something very powerful that I'm actually able to put in my bio, on my resume, and it's just like such a cool achievement. And so I felt very jittery, literally, when I was typing it to you. And so now I'm probably going to feel the same way if I obviously put it on my social medias. So yeah.
Well, you should. Absolutely. I just want to put that I know one of the 2019 World Cup champions. Is that okay for me to put?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Yes. Throw that in your bio, sister.
Yeah, I know her. So I get to live vicariously through this achievement. It was just truly incredible to watch all of, just the entire tournament and really what message came across through it for not just women in sports, but I think women everywhere. Just of this team who was completely unstoppable in the pursuit of a goal. And so I want to get into all of that and just how the heck it felt when that confetti was like raining down on you. I think that's my goal in life is to have some event where confetti rains down on me.
Yes.
But I actually want to take it back to really your backstory because like so many of us, you have had your fair share of struggles and challenges to even get to the point of being on the World Cup team. So do you want to take us back just to like, how does someone become a professional soccer player? I want to know that story.
Yeah. So I grew up a multi-sport athlete. I was the only girl in the family. So I grew up with all boys. And obviously I'm considered like the weakest link. So I'm the only girl in the family. And so automatically in my blood, my mindset, mental toughness, it made me so much more competitive, I guess you can say, because growing up with boys, it kind of made me tough and have sort of this tough mentality. And I was such a tomboy growing up. And then eventually I came to an off season when I was 12 years old. I was focused on basketball and track at the time. And my grandmother was like, well, you need to figure out what you're going to do because you're not just going to sit at home. and we're always just an active family. And so it came to a point where I was like, I'll play soccer. Like my brother Brandon, he always played soccer since he was like 5, and he never stopped. And so, whereas for me, I was able to play other sports. And so I was able to include different activities in my schedule. And so then I was like, okay, I'll play soccer like Brandon. I like the sport. It's cool. And then by the time I was 14, I kind of knew my ability in the sport because I just gotten like my first invite to youth national team camp and got the feel for how big the sport really is, and just seeing how beautiful the game is, just meeting different people. And obviously going through high school, I continued to play all 3 sports: track, basketball, and soccer. And then I went to junior college where I met Zach and played all 3 sports still. And then that was when I really had to choose, because I'm 20 years old at this point. I'm like, okay, well, obviously I need to focus on one sport at this point, because it's very difficult to obviously play multiple sports at the D1 level, because I knew I was moving on to University of North Carolina. And so I had to make a decision. I'm like, oh geez, I love basketball, I don't love track. So track was kind of an easy one to eliminate. And so it was out of basketball and soccer, bottom line. And so I was like, let's shoot for soccer. I was succeeding a little bit more in soccer than I was basketball. And so played at UNC there, won 2 back-to-back national titles. And so that was when the pro league obviously started to develop here in the US. And so that was when I had realized that there's a chance I can go pro in soccer. It's like, oh God, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so I ended up getting drafted to Chicago. And my rookie year, I fully ruptured my patellar tendon, which is a huge injury in the knee where, you have like I had this very small chance to play at a high level for a long period of time again. So science was just telling me like, no, this is it for you, that there's no way. And so throughout my recovery, it was a 2-year recovery. I started to like feel okay after like the first year. And then here I am pregnant with my son. All of a sudden it was a surprise. And so here I am going through knee recovery and pregnancy at the same time, just trying to figure out my career path. What am I going to do? I'm no longer a professional athlete. And so just kind of going through those challenges. That was a very tough, like 2 years of my life. Obviously the knee injury changed my life. And then obviously becoming a mom just completely changed my life and on like a whole nother level. And so it was like, okay, I'm a mom now, and people are telling me, society is telling me you need to settle. And then science is telling me you can't play anymore. It's just like, okay, well, I started to coach youth levels, and I started to work out again just to get back in shape, nothing too serious. And then I played semi-pro soccer just for fun. And then I'd realize like, I actually feel fine. I feel great right
Yeah.
now. And so this coach in Australia found out that I was training again. And mind you, I hadn't played in 2 years at this point. And I'm like, what? Or it's been like a year and like 8 months or so. And so he was like reaching out for a striker. And so they reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll come play. It was only for like a couple of months, so it wasn't that long. And so that's how my career just started off, was just getting sort of this random second chance in Australia to go and play for a couple of months. And then a team from the US, Chicago Red Stars, picked me up after Australia, and here I am.
And fast forward, we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
There's just so much gold in what you shared, though, because regardless of what form the adversity takes, I think we can all relate to those moments in life where either outside forces, or I love how you said science was telling you this wasn't going to happen, or society saying that, now you're a mom, your life needs to look a certain way, but you decided to define it on your own terms. Would you
Absolutely.
say like just having the mindset of an athlete really contributed to that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, man, I still want to play. And at first I was playing for fun, and then it was like, I can actually play at a high competing level, and I'm going to make this happen. It's going to happen. I've got to make it happen just to see where it'll go. Why not? So definitely dipped my toe back in, and it was I, I can't say it was a tough decision to make, because it was easy, because I love the game so much.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that you would be in a position to make it onto the US women's team, like to play at that highest level in your sport? Was that even on your mind?
It was on my mind, and I feel like it's on everybody's mind that plays at the
Sure.
pro level here in the WSL. And so obviously you want to work your way towards, the biggest competition in the world. And so it's like when you're in a business, of course you want to make your way up to be a boss. Of
Mm.
course you want to make your way to be a manager, whatever the case may be. You always want to do more. You're never satisfied. And so of course my dream was always to be on the national team and having the Olympics, in my future, and the World Cup as well. But to be honest, in reality, I didn't think it was going to happen. Of course, I wanted it to happen. I just didn't think it was, just because I'm older, and it's a very rare thing for an older player to get their first call in, let alone playing their first World Cup at 31. Like, that's unheard of. And so just to be able to get the opportunity at this age, it just I just hope it inspires everybody in some kind of way to not give up on what it is that you want in your life, no matter how much time it takes, because life is just hard. It's hard, and it was a very hard, difficult road for me to get here. But because of the love of the game, that's kind of what kept me going. And my kid, hopefully this will inspire him one day. So obviously he's my motivation to want to continue to just gut it through and gut through the hard times. And so just to be here is so surreal. It's been such a whirlwind that, yeah, I imagined it, but realistically, I just didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I get chills thinking about like what was that moment like when you heard the words you made the team?
Oh, I cried. So as soon as Jill Ellis said, "You're going to the World Cup this year," and it was just an ugly cry. I know it was. I'm happy at the moment. There was no mirror near me, because I'd been like, "You look
Amen.
very ugly," So it was one of those ugly cries, and I just let it all out and she was still speaking to me on the phone, and I have no idea half the words that she said because I was too busy crying. And the only thing I was able to hear in some of those moments was just like me sniffling up some snot back into my nose from crying so hard. And so it was just such a
Yeah.
happy and just relieving moment for me, just to receive that phone call, because I've been waiting for that phone call for 31 years, and for it to come and for it to be a yes, you're going, your life's literally about to change. Let's go. Like, thank you, Lord Jesus, for this opportunity,
Yeah.
because I had to rely solely on my faith in order to be where I am today.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I so obviously it's one thing to make the team and then it's a whole other thing to be the team that takes home the prize. I want to hear, I mean, obviously there's been a ton of media. I think I saw you were just on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean,
Hmm.
you're like
Yeah.
basically the coolest person I've talked to all week.
Thank
Um,
you.
I want to hear though, because I know your heart, you're so humble and this journey has been so much a testament to your faith. I actually would love to hear just a little bit of the stuff behind the scenes that no one gets to see about just the emotional journey of what it's like to compete in the World Cup, or I don't know if you have any like fun stories behind the scenes that like no one else got to see of what it was like to compete at that level, like with this group of women. Give us
Yeah.
like a glimpse into what that experience has been like.
Yeah. So it was really cool, to obviously see everybody's routines kind of leading into games. It was like, oh, that's what she likes to do. Oh, that's what she likes to do. So I think like that piece of it was one of the most exciting for me, because it's like we're elite athletes, we're playing at the highest level, but watching people how they, I guess, prepare for games, and just sort of seeing people's different mindsets. Like, one person likes to be on their headphones and not listening to the music they were listening to in the locker room. And then, one person's in her locker room kind of meditating to some peaceful music for however long, just to prep for a game. And then we have some individuals who like to just dance and go crazy in the locker room. So it's just really cool to see all the different personalities in the locker room just kind of prepping for games. And so I think that's like a really cool part of our journey, is obviously routine's like a very important thing. And if you have the same routine and it's been working, you can't change that. And so it was just really cool to see no one changing the routine. Everything was the same. And I was just like, wow, this is like so cool. This is how we prep for the big stage. And it was just like absolutely amazing. But one thing that people don't know about me, if we want to talk about my routine, is that this isn't something I don't think I've ever even told the public this, but so for the past like 3 or 4 years now, yeah, this is my 4th year now. So before every game, the night before every game, I go and eat ice cream. That's part of my routine. I love ice cream like the night
I
before every game.
am on board for this routine.
Yeah. And so like just like that part, being able to continue to go through, my superstitions, that was really cool that I was still able to do that, even going overseas and just trying to figure out ice cream places that were nearest me. And Uber hooked us up. Like they were a little bit of a sponsor throughout the World Cup, and so I was able to like Uber place ice cream places, and it was really cool to see kind of how Europeans have different ways of doing their ice creams in the US. So whenever I went to go get ice cream, one of the coolest places I went to, it was called Amarino, and they make their ice cream into the shape of flowers. Like my ice cream is in the
Whoa.
shape of flowers. Yeah. And it was, man, that was mind blowing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I was able to obviously experience the French lifestyle of ice cream in a different kind of way than I would here in the US. So ice cream, yeah,
Oh,
is
that's
way to my
cool.
heart.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Well, now we know. You heard it here first, folks. That's
Yes.
incredible. And I
Yeah.
love just that whole point too about our routines. And I think that's something for everyone to take away, regardless of what your sport in life is. If it's a business, a passion project, maybe your full time focus is being a mom. Sometimes just having those routines that feel really good for us, I mean, that can be a form of self care
Yeah,
and can just
absolutely.
really help us to take that step in fulfilling our next big idea, whatever that might be. So I love that you shared that. I
Yeah. Thank you.
feel like I need to start eating ice cream before every big major life event. And I'll share with you how that goes.
Please do. Oh my gosh, it makes you happy. Like
It
whatever makes
does.
you happy to just prep for whatever you need to prep for, like do it. And ice
I
cream
love
is
it.
one way of me doing it. So yeah,
That's so fun. I love that so
yeah,
much. You brought up your son Jeremiah, and I also like just have a little bit of a social media crush on this cutie because he's like just the most adorable, vibrant child. You share a lot of just fun little clips from your life and him being with you at the final game. I don't know if he was there for all of them, but I saw some amazing photos just of you two getting to celebrate that win together. What was it like to be able to share that with him? You know, he's at an age where he'll probably at least remember it, even if he doesn't understand the magnitude. But what was
yeah.
that experience like?
Oh man, man, we were just overfilled with joy. And I think for him, being able to have fun after the game, because he's so used to obviously watching mommy play soccer. And so it was just like a normal, another day for him. But he just
Yeah.
didn't know, obviously, the magnitude of it. And so for him to be able to come down, celebrate in front of thousands of people, eyes on him for, some period of time, and being able to play with the confetti, I think that was just sort of the highlight of his World Cup finals, being able to shower me with confetti, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm doing this to my mom right now. This is really cool. And he understands like winning a trophy, you win a trophy. And so I'm happy he at least remembers that side of things, I guess, is the competitive side. You get rewarded. And
Sure.
so like those moments with him where were just so amazing, because not a lot of kids came onto that field to celebrate with the team, but my kid was able to.
Yeah.
And so I think for him, it will inspire him in the future. Like he's going to remember this, and he's going to remember those moments. And I just hope and pray that what happens now in my career, and it's just going to inspire him when he's older, no matter what it is that he's going to do. I
Yeah.
just hope and pray that those moments is going to inspire him in the future. And obviously, I'm just here to set a good example for him. And I think that day, during those moments when him and I were celebrating together, I was just like, buddy, we did it. And he
Mm.
was like, we did it, mommy, we won. And I think that was probably the best part about celebrating with him. And hopefully he's going to remember those 2 lines that we said to each other in the future. It's like, Mommy, that was actually really cool. You actually are a cool mom. So
A cool mom.
yeah.
I'm like actually tearing up just hearing you like tell this story. That is
Yeah.
just the sweetest, and it must have been an incredible experience to have with him. I think I read somewhere, and tell me if this is true, that you were the only person on the team who is a mom.
Yeah.
What was that like for, did he kind of become everyone's son? Was he
Oh,
like team
absolutely. I
mascot?
think like, yeah, oh my gosh. So all the girls absolutely love him, but I think his favorite person, I think his top 2 favorite people on the team were Meg Rapinoe and Adriana Franch. Like they just clicked right away. And I'm like, go ahead, whatever, go play. And it would just be a ruckus when he'd be with one of the 2 of them. And it was just really nice to see, obviously, these players, my teammates, just to play with him and interact with him, because that's almost really important for the team as well, because I'm a part of this team, but he's also a part of me. And so for them to obviously welcome him and welcome the fact that I was a mom just made it so much more comforting. And that's same with the entire organization of US Soccer. They were just so genuine and amazing about just being a mom. There's nothing against being a mom. They didn't treat me any differently, which was like absolutely amazing. So I just think that, those were just some really cool defining moments for me as a mother, just realizing like, okay, this is amazing. This is actually like, okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And back to your point too, just about there can be this dialogue that women have to choose, maybe between being a certain kind of mom and having a successful, thriving career. And I think that's changing. I really do think it's changing. And women like you become such an example to those who either maybe they're running a business alongside alongside with growing their family or whatever that might be. We have a lot of mompreneurs, if you will, that listen to the show, or moms who would love to start something of their own. So what do you want to share with them, with women who find themselves in that season of life? They're a mom and they have this burning desire on their heart, a goal, something that they just cannot ignore, like your passion for soccer. What do you want them to know about what's possible?
I just want them to know that anything's possible. And I've witnessed a lot of people, a lot of close relatives, friends who change career paths because they have kids. And it's like, okay, I pretty much just gave up my dream job, or, what I was working for in order to succeed, or I was going to go and reach my goal until I became a parent. But I think it's 2019 now, and we can't use our kids as excuses anymore. And these are just the type of things um, that we just kind of have to power through as parents. If you have a goal, don't let you being a parent stop you from reaching that or going after it. Don't stop until you get there. Of course, there's going to be difficult roads and hardships to get to where you want to get to. But at the end of the day, mama, you have a little one who looks up to you. And if they know the hard work that you put into in order to succeed and in order to take care of them, then it's so worth it. And it's so relieving once you do achieve those goals or achieve the lifestyle that you want to live, or whatever the case may be. It's just so relieving for you as a parent and them as a child. It's like, okay, my mom was able to do this. My dad was able to do this. I can do this. Why not? And
Yeah.
that should be enough inspiration for every child out there.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh, that just gives me chills. I've had a lot of
Yeah.
chills during this interview. So what's next for you now? Now, World Cup champ, cover of Sports Illustrated, and on the Powerhouse Women podcast. Like probably the 3 coolest things. I'm just gonna guess. No,
Yeah,
but really, what's
absolutely.
next? What's next for you?
Right now I have to take one day at a time, and I'm actually in the middle of my season right now with North Carolina Courage. And so that's sort of my focus right now. And we also have other camps coming up with the USA national team. And so obviously right now, these are my 2 focuses. And then I have some speaking engagements, which I'm absolutely looking forward to, and just meeting new people. I mean, my network right now is life changing. And so I'm just networking right now as well, just on another level than I ever have before, which has been amazing and life-changing. And so those are just my focuses, and obviously continuing to try and be a badass mom. So yeah,
Yeah.
and inspiring my kid.
I think you're succeeding at that all day long.
I'm
Um,
trying.
this is like such a just an interesting question. I would love to know, because you mentioned networking, you're meeting people, and I think this platform just gives you the opportunity to meet and connect with people in a whole new way. Who
Absolutely.
is the coolest person you've met since becoming like World Cup champ? Or it could be even outside of that. But if you want, I mean, if you want to name drop, I'm just curious, who's like the coolest person you met? Did you have like a fangirl moment?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. So at the ESPYs, Billie Jean
Oh,
King approached me, and she was like, "You're the only mom on the team, right?" I was like, "Billie Jean King knows I'm the only mom on the team. Is anybody else here?" Like, oh my gosh. So I was totally fangirling in that moment, but I held my composure, trying to be professional in front of this like really cool, amazing woman. And so she was probably one of the coolest people that I've met so far since like post World Cup.
oh, I forgot that you girls went to the ESPYs. That must have been just, I mean, a room full of really sports legends. So that probably
Yeah,
provided a ton of inspo. That's cool. Oh my goodness. Well, and it's also
absolutely.
well deserved. And like I said, just even from observing you from afar, I've been most inspired by your heart as a mom, your heart to just give it your all, but also the humility that you've taken all of this success and all these cool opportunities with. I think that's my favorite thing just about getting to know you from afar, but now even having the opportunity to have a conversation with you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is really cool. I'm so happy we connected too, so we can thank Zach for that one.
Finally. Well, okay, I'll have to
Yeah,
let Zach know we finally did connect. And I want to end it with we really kind of end each interview episode the same way, because I believe that one of the biggest sources of inspiration for us as women are the stories of other women. And that's why having this platform to get to share incredible stories just like yours has been so much fun. And I think our intention behind that is to remind women of two things. Number one, we're not meant to do this alone, this thing called life.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
also that, there are other women out there who are blazing the course and who are encouraging each of us to step forward and take whatever that next little action is toward our big idea, our dream. So if there were like one message that you could share for the women listening, just to encourage them in their journey, what would it be? What would you want your final word for the audience listening to this interview today to hear?
I would just have to say, obviously, it's going to take a really good support system to obviously help you get to where you want to get to. It's very difficult thing to do alone, and obviously that's where mental toughness and pride comes into par. And so I would just have to continue to stay inspired, because we all have just this one life to live, and why not live it the way that you want to? If there's something that you love, why not continue loving it every single day? Whatever makes your heart happy, I mean, continue to let it make you happy.
Jessica, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.